Hey there, everybody! Slackerkite here. Welcome back to the What Are We Fighting For? No, 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 not that one. It is, of course, Mr. Video Games, brought to you by Dead Sun Entertainment. It is, of course, Thursday, August the 29th, 2019. Good to have everybody here. Give yourself a clap, applause, what have you. Let me know in the chat how this stupid fucking mic is sounding. Just finished getting it all nice and set up, so hey, knowledge is power. Anyway, of course, we have with us today wonderful people. If you think the Warcraft queues are long, you should see the line for her baked goods. It's Lindsay K. Merwin! Woo!
Yeah, I need to start baking again.
You should always be baking, and then give me your cookies. Following that, he could tell you how to save your game, but the big thing is, don't include fucking loot boxes in the first place. It's Brian A.K. Wonderboy!
You have my brand so fucking well. Right off the top. Because right before we went live here, I was looking through some stuff from the past couple of days, and I saw the video that NBA 2K20 is putting out, where they basically just showcase their loot box system as a slot machine, a literal slot machine. What the fuck?
Oh, isn't it just great? All of the, hey, you can literally gamble in this game that they're breaking into that.
Let's glorify the thing that people are criticizing as gambling by positing it completely as gambling, both in image and like machination. It's so fucking gross. I feel slimy, and I just watched a trailer. I watched a video, and I feel like I got garbage gunk on my arms.
Also,
For all you
hey,
know, I might have garbage gunk on my arms.
I totally typed something into the stream notification, but that is not what it currently says we're doing. Isn't that cool?
Oh, always. We're on point. This is how we always. This is the Mr. Video Game Super Show where something goes wrong.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ion Fury. Yeah.
It's part of our charm, though. At least that's how I like it.
Pardon the clicky clack, all of the people of the internet. It's a horrible thing.
Who doesn't? Everyone's used to click and clack. If not from us, then their own fucking systems.
Alright, information updated. Oh, I'm so good at doing this, so yay. Anyway, Brian, how have you been other than being angry at loot boxes that should not be?
I mean, honestly, I've been pretty good this week. I haven't really played a ton of new stuff. I mainly have been mainlining Fire Emblem more and more straight into my veins. That game is still going swimmingly well. I think I'm approaching the time jump in that game, which means that I am approaching a fairly big narrative thing, and I have no I don't know what's coming, but I know something big is coming, so it's gonna be fun. Hopefully in the next 10 hours. Which, by the way, I'm almost 30 hours into this game.
Nice.
Yeah, and like this game's long. Like I've seen like average runtime of a playthrough is like about 60 hours. So
Meanwhile, I will say last Saturday I did stream Dicey Dungeon a bit, but that's the only gaming I've done. But that was enough to get us to affiliate finally. Clap your hands. We might get paid someday in the far-flung future. Isn't that cool?
it's all right. We now have a thing to attach to our Twitch name that we can brag about that the majority of the world won't care about, but we do.
And inauguration of the whole, hey, we may make money. I'm turning on my webcam for this, and while Merwin tells us about this wonderful game that she's been playing.
Well, today is a great day for a lot of us that play Armajet. The long-awaited patch 1.7 has, or update has dropped,
Hmm.
and it has changed this game as we know it.
Okay.
Um, so the Valor system, which was like your ranking system, has been overhauled completely. Everybody's been started back from ground zero. This video is actually from one of the content creators in the community, Captain Benzie.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, even from the get-go, the game looks incredibly different. They have squad system now, so you can actually team up with your friends versus just praying, like versus ending up in the same lobby and hoping you're on the same team. Um, the pilots and everything have been completely overhauled. Like the loot system is entirely different. This is a game where, yes, you can put real world money into it. It's
Nice.
literally just for cosmetics. You don't need to. Um, and I know a lot of people that play this game and advance very far and are competition level players that have never paid a cent. Um, so, I mean, this game debuted with the world's premiere trailer for it at Gamescom 2018. And this is a 25-person studio. And this is how beautifully polished this game already is. And it's still early access. I am so ridiculously happy. So I may or may not have lost like 3 hours today playing as soon as the update came out.
You say lost, but is
Hmm.
that necessarily lost?
I think this is a win.
Yeah, and it's really pretty.
Oh, you know when the giddy voice comes out that it is good. Welcome to Mr. Video Games, everybody. We ready to start here with the newsy news type stuff?
Totally.
Most definitely.
Because we are going in pretty hard on it today, quickly here. Dropping in on the Ion Fury controversy we talked a little bit about last week. And at the time last week, everything sounded fine. There was like a developer to at the company Voidpoint that had some less than great things to say, and they were going to give money to the Trevor Project and get rid of all the crap that people were complaining about and do some mandatory training. They're doing all of that. Except for some reason, they decided that they're going to fight back against the label Oh Gay for one of their items in the game, a spoof on Olay, after getting review bombed to hell and back by the delightful Steam community over it.
Uh,
Let's go, Brian.
I just had to. I just had to let that out real quick. Okay, so I have the developer from Voidpoint. Let me make sure I get his name correct. Because I want to make sure that we understand the who we're talking about. We're talking about the person who chose "Oh Gay" as the hill to die on. All right. So Ion Fury lead developer Richard Gobier. I'm gonna say Gobeille.
Mm.
Is Gobel Gobier one of those two? I apologize if I get your name wrong, Mister O'Gay is cool. Um, this is this is the statement that he released on his Steam account, and he coined it as a joint statement from both Voidpoint and 3D Realms. Okay,
Okay.
so this is him lumping in the publisher of this game alongside his own company.
Mm.
We've caused a recent controversy suggesting Ion Fury game content was to be censored. We will absolutely not, all caps, be censoring Ion Fury or any of our other games now or in the future, including but not limited to by removing gags such as gaming's most controversial facial wash. We do not support censorship of creative works of any kind and regret our initial decision to alter a sprite in the game instead of trusting our instincts. 3D Realms and Voidpoint stand together on this matter. Last but not least, Please respect our need to keep our community forums clean from hateful messages, spam, or off-topic threads. We recognize our mistake and have received your message loud and clear. Okay.
That's a lot of bullshit, because they did go back on several things, and they did say that in future games they're not putting these sorts of things in, but they're leaving in this one thing because boom.
Here's the thing, you have to understand, this is lip service from this guy, because like we're talking about the same dude who on the Voidpoint Discord constantly like uses the term SJW unironically and constantly rails against cancel culture. Like publicly on his company's Discord.
Oh, good.
Like it, yeah. So like this is the person we're talking about. Of course, he's gonna have these viewpoints when it comes to these things. I will commend them for going halfway, at least, by taking out the homophobic slur that was in the secret part of the game, and then making the donation to the Trevor Project, which actually I'm kind of curious to see if they've received that. I might send an email. And see if that actually went through. I'm not saying that I don't trust that they were going to make that donation. I just am curious, knowing their propensity for backtracking, as we've seen clearly here. But then they took the O-gay thing out. They put it back in, like you said, because they felt like that was the hill that they should die on after a review bomb on Steam. That's what caused all of this rethinking on Voidpoint's part, because the one thing that has been proven to be ineffectual when it comes to video game criticism in some ways, a review bomb, was what caused this. And it's a shame in some ways, because Ion Fury actually looks like a fun game in a lot of ways. But it's really hard to look at that title now without these lenses on of seeing exactly who Voidpoint is. You know, like I know I posited earlier, like in some statements, that like it just makes no sense that you would choose to out your company's tendency for exclusivity in terms of marginalized communities by such a dumb phrase that is so easily corrected, and it holds no real bearing on what the game as a whole does. It's a dumb joke that a third grader makes.
Yeah, and what gets me is at the very end of this, jokes at the expense of marginalized communities will not be present in future games published by 3D Realms. However, a portion of our community made it loud and clear they felt removing "oh gay" was censorship and should be protected by protected by free speech. Voidpoint wanted to listen, and we respected their decision. Hello, John. Hello, Giant Pie.
I wonder what those people, how they voiced that great opinion against censorship. Let's just go check something out here. Boop-a-doop.
Yeah, it's literally the helicopter attack helicopter joke, just in graphical format. It is the lamest, boringest joke. If this were like a good joke, maybe I could stand behind it, but this is the hill that you want to fucking die on?
Yeah. Like, it's just so dumb. Giant Pie, we're talking about Ion Fury, the Voidpoint basically like claiming censorship and rolling back on taking out homophobic slurs and homophobic language in the game. So I'm the Steam reviews, of course, they've gone back up since then. They're now overwhelmingly positive. But I'm trying to find some of the from where they got bombed. If I can see, just here we go.
I believe one of our favorite people here on the show, Ian Michael Chong, was one of the people who tried to review bomb the game and got it removed and got his panties in a wad because his review was removed. So, you know, that's how good everything's going right now with Ion Fury.
See, yeah. I'm really curious to see how 3D Realms responds to this, because I can't see them taking too kindly to being lumped in with Void Point by this person going, oh, no, no, they're totally in agreement with us that we shouldn't take this out.
Oh, they're not going to publicly say anything. Now, if we don't see 3D Realms publishing any further Void Point games, I wouldn't be terribly surprised, but do believe Void Point is the company that develops all of these the games in this sphere. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find if 3D Realms had a separate statement. Let's see. Okay, they issued a separate statement um, to Kotaku,
Mm,
which they actually supported Voidpoint's decision to defend its joke.
mm.
Quote, jokes at the expense of marginalized communities will not be present in future games published by 3D Realms. However, a portion of our community made it loud and clear they felt removing "oh gay" was censorship and should be protected by free speech. Voidpoint wanted to listen, and we respected this decision. Look,
Literally what I was reading earlier, but
sorry, I didn't realize. Sorry, I didn't realize that was 3D Realms' statement. I
Mm,
apologize. So that was their thing. So here's the thing, though. I get it. Free speech, perfectly fine. You are allowed to say whatever you want. I'm not like that. That is an inalienable right
mhm,
as a human being.
mhm.
That does not mean that whenever you use hate speech and speech that is defamatory towards a marginalized community, that you are not exempt from being called out on your bullshit and being subsequently categorized as what you are trying to like put out there. Like whether or not Ogay stayed in the game, the fact that it was there in the first place colored Void Point in a certain way.
Mm.
And then them making this decision colors them even more in that way. So no matter what, they can keep their dumb facial wash joke in their game. But from now on, we know who they are.
True.
We know where they stand, and we know what to expect out of this company. So like your reputation is made. You have your cloth that you've thrown in with. Go ahead. Like that everything that you put out from now on it's gonna be colored in a certain way.
But Brian, don't you want to stand with freedom of speech and all that good stuff? They're
Yo,
they're being creative. They're hilarious people making great jokes.
there is nothing creative about okay.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
God, like I said, if the joke was worth it, I could almost understand it. But the vitriol over literally a bottle of lotion, I don't understand what. I don't care. At this point, it just makes Void Point look like an idiot to, you know, the adults in the room.
Exactly. They look like idiots. They look like they are now people that have kowtowed to the worst part of the gaming community in a lot of ways. And like I can't say it more succinctly. We know who they are now.
Mhm.
Linus, do you have any thoughts?
No, I mean, you guys have pretty much nailed it on the head. Like, at this point, this is a really good example of vote with your wallet, you know? Like, don't buy the game. It looks cool, but I mean, I personally can't stand behind anything like this.
Yeah, I was really excited for the game when it came out on Switch, but like I'm not pissed off over this. This is just stupid. So I don't I've lost my care about this game at this point. I have lost my ability to give a shit about what these people put out.
And I will note that some of the negative reviews that came down were actually from people criticizing um, Boy Point for their reverse course. Most notably, this one that was featured in the Kotaku article by Nathan Grayson. After doing the right thing and apologizing and giving away money to a good charity, these idiots decide to reverse their decision after alt right crybaby bullying. I will not support transphobia and homophobia in any way, and for the first time in my life, have requested a refund for the game. So, people are recognizing this sort of thing,
Mm.
obviously.
Yeah, it's I don't have anything else to say about this other than this is just really fucking confusing. It's a turnabout on a turnabout that makes no sense. I don't understand how it gets you in anyone's better viewpoint. I don't understand anyone's opinion on this. I'm just not going to play the game and stay away from it because I just don't give a fuck.
Okay, before we move on, because I feel like we're about to move on,
Hmm.
there is one of these Steam reviews that I have to read because it reminds me so much of what was the story we did last week? The Apex stuff,
Oh yeah.
where like the redditor with this thing about like you have you have harmed the consumers, blah blah blah.
Mm.
So this is from I can't see the Prize Fighter Inferno. So
Already a good
already
name.
off
Mm.
to a good start. Um, devs bent the knee to the permanently offended and are censoring their content, which is a damn shame because this is a really good flashback to when Duke Nukem was good. Old school offensive humor and all. Were it not for Voidpoint being utterly spineless, I'd absolutely recommend Ion Fury. I was really looking forward to this game and have been following it since it was Ion Maiden, which is a way better name. However, I vote with my wallet. Get woke, go broke. Immediate refund. To Voidpoint specifically, your loyalty should be to your customers that support your game, not the screeching thin-skinned children at Reset Era who only play visual novels, or the pronoun sporting outrage farmer game journalists that can't beat a tutorial. Pirates shouldn't be getting the superior version of the game. Enjoy your mandatory re-education camp visit. Just be warned, it's never enough for them.
Yeah, absolutely not in any way hypocritical of him being outraged.
Question: what is the male version of clutching your pearls? Because that's all I can picture.
Cradling your fanny pack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so I stumbled on that one. I needed it. I needed to let it out. It's too good.
But speaking of men clutching their pearls, let's go on to Riot Game, and their class action lawsuit has finally been settled over gender discrimination, sexual lawsuits, sexual harassments, etc. While we don't know exactly how this came out from what everyone has said so far on this, it does sound like everyone seems to be fairly happy on the results of it. So maybe we can move on to better better things with Riot Games from everything we've seen published so far. It sounds like they're doing better as a company. They are actually paying out the people who had an issue with it, have given public apologies. I'm kind of hopeful these are all positive things for Riot Games.
I mean, this is a positive step,
Mhm.
but it is just a step still. Like there are still people that were named in these lawsuits that are still working at the company in high-profile areas, high-profile gigs. So like the the lack of movement to kind of address that is also a is kind of harsh
Mm.
to deal with in the wake of this. This, like I said, this is still a huge win.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this isn't a win at all, but like whenever one of the main dudes cited for like abusive workplace, like cultivating an abusive workplace, cultivating unhealthy workplaces, sexual assault, stuff like that, ball tapping motherfuckers, farting on people in board meetings, and like it's just like whenever all that stuff's still going on and the person still works there
Mm.
in an executive level area, that's a problem and a huge one. I haven't checked to see if I'm pretty sure he's still there. I haven't
Yeah, I'm
checked up
pretty
on
sure
that
he
today.
is.
So he is. That being said, huge win for the women over at Riot. Um, I'm sure I think there were some men involved in this class action too, but like it was mostly the women there.
Hmm.
And hopefully the culture starts changing. I know Riot they're working on some new projects, so there might be some stuff opening up over there. The main question for me after this is how Riot is going to handle the complaints about forced arbitration in their contracts. I know they've said all future contracts wouldn't include forced arbitration um, for employees, but I hope that becomes retroactive to current employees as well, because that really needs to change, and that's the next big legal battle for this group. Um, because like if you like forced arbitration is like ridiculously favored against the employee in
Hmm.
a lot of instances. So like one win down, hopefully another one to come, and hopefully more after that as Riot there starts to alter their culture.
Yeah, it's at least it's a good start after especially the reports from Kotaku that have said that things have gotten better, and of course thanks to Tom Ivan here from Video Game Chronicle. It just sounds like things are getting better at Riot. But also we'll need more information. Honestly, it's a matter of what do they do within the next year. But these are all good steps.
Yeah, and it should be noted that according to Rioters Against Forced Arbitration, a number of suits regarding these accusations are still pending in arbitration. So the ones that are in arbitration not quite wrapped up yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we still there's still a ways to go here.
Speaking of bad ideas, coming out of GameIndustry.biz and James Batchelor, our favorite here at the show, there was a nice article on restoring trust in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And while we won't get into the entirety of it, basically you can boil this down to that they're trying to get back what they lost from the whole controversy with loot boxes. They have a very interesting, I hate the word roadmap, but they're still working on the game, still publishing items. More information was announced over Gamescom. Um, and it seems as if their community is starting to return to them. But maybe they shouldn't have gone so hard into loot boxes in the first place. This might not be needed.
I think really they're looking at this now as a learn from our mistake. They're trying to turn this around and educate the rest of the development community to go, guys, this is not the thing. Don't do the thing. For the love of God, don't do the thing. Um, and so I mean, it's nice to see them kind of making it a positive, kind of, but at the same time, still loot box bad.
You know, NBA 2K19 could maybe take a little bit of a look into what their future looks like.
That's 2K. They don't care. That game sells regardless. So
Fair.
unfortunately, it's a sports game. The
Mm.
sports game. Anyway, no, I'm glad that they're able to that Dice and specifically Bronval is able to kind of look back on the experience of Battlefront 2's launch and realize, yeah, there were some major missteps. Like I think the fact that he uses the phrase in here that the team hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's drastic language, especially for a game that still sold. Like remember that game still sold in the millions when it came out. It didn't hit projections for EA, but it still sold fairly well despite the controversy. So like knowing that they're able to take a step back from that and look at the last 2 years of, or almost 2 years where they've had to grow this community basically back from scratch. It, I think that it'll make DICE a bit more wary when it comes to that sort of thing. I don't know if EA is not convinced off of this stuff. Obviously, I mean,
Correct.
if they were, we wouldn't have FIFA Ultimate Team. Um, I will never not go a week on this show without mentioning FIFA Ultimate Team and its dumbness and its fucking exploitative practices. Anyway, sidebar. But like it really showed that they had an actual moment of introspection, and I think that's a very healthy thing that a lot of game developers and publishers don't necessarily fiddle with. It really humanizes the company, or humanizes the developers, not the company itself. Corporations aren't people. Um, in a way that is endearing and makes me think that makes me excited for what DICE does next, to see if they actually learn from their mistakes and come out from the very beginning with those improvements or not.
Yeah, I mean, Rise of the Skywalker, from everything we've seen so far, looks to be pretty good. Battlefront 2, from everything I've seen, it's not my kind of game here or anything, but it also was a very pretty game with a lot of great combat. You just fucked up the execution, but maybe you'll stick the landing. Maybe this will be remembered as a game that started with Fury and ended with, it's alright.
Yeah, yeah. Quick sidebar. Y'all see that folding lightsaber?
I think I saw a comment once, it's because, pockets are a problem, but yeah.
Hey, pockets are a problem.
You're not wrong.
I can wholly relate. As a dude who wears like tight jeans a lot, pockets are a problem. Fix that shit.
As a female who wears women's jeans, what pockets?
Exactly. I'm with you, Linz. I'm with you on this.
Pockets in female clothing is a conspiracy by the fashion industry to sell purses. That's all it is.
You're not wrong.
As I have nothing to add, hey, how about from GameSpot? Richard Wakeling, article on our favorite person in the whole wide world, Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford, in contempt of court over latest court filing and withholding information and being tagged with discovery abuse on the current ongoing litigation. So that's cool.
As much as Pitchford is like King Douchebag, I'm actually kind of happy to see him in the news again. I was wondering if he was still alive.
He's alive in as much as you can keep doing magic in the safety of your magic room at your giant castle mansion in the middle of Texas.
I continue to just have no idea how Randy Pitchford is still employed. This giant douchebag.
You think he has a punch card like buy 5 get one meal free in medieval times?
Gosh, I hope so. They should at least make some money, because I've seen how hard those people in medieval times work, and I don't want to. I never want to work for that company. That sounds like balls.
No, that's very true. No, I mean, like, yeah, Pitchford back in the news doing like some clearly dumb stuff, but like this has been 2019 for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like going back to like the Borderlands 3 reveal, where like everything that could have gone wrong almost did go wrong, including him taking God knows how long out of that presentation to do like a presentation of a trading card, a Borderlands trading card game, and then like talk about magic and stuff, when like it's just like, just show you Borderlands 3 sells itself. Just show your game.
Yeah, they probably actually sent him out there and just went, dude, you don't need to say anything. Just Vanna White the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And you're fine. He's like, no, guys, I got this great idea. Oh, God, Randy, please don't.
Yeah. Also, like, just in this legal case alone, like, he does not need to be taking this lightly.
No.
Like it really seems like he is. Like if we're talking about discovery abuse,
Mm.
like that is at the very base level of what goes into a lawsuit. As the I'm not gonna speak like I know all of this, but like the only reason why I really know some of this stuff is because like my partner has a degree in law, and so like
Helpful.
yes, very. So like this stuff is like rudimentary operational stuff for a lawsuit. Like there is no reason why this stuff should be tampered with unless there's something you don't want people to know. It really paints Randy Pitchford in a poor light heading into this legal defense.
Yeah, Giant Pie, I have to agree with you. If they could just keep Randy hidden away until this whole thing blows over, that would probably be well. Just, till Borderlands 3 has been out for a while. Maybe have them never talk to people ever.
Yeah.
Speaking of the putting things away, why not? That's the worst transition I've ever done. Polygon and Colin Campbell report on the relaunch of Telltale Games, one of our favorite topics of conversation. How many times did I say I was really hopeful to never report on Telltale Games again? After their dissolving into the nothingness, Telltale Games, the rights to the company have been purchased by Jamie Ottley and Brian Waddle. They are looking to bring back the original developers in freelance roles with a possible promise of future full-time position. Gross.
Yeah. Um, there have been some developments on like exactly what they like meant by that sort of by that. They are obviously both of these guys are veterans of the game development world, and they also have some other developers on board with them from some former heavy hitters. I want to say one of them worked at. If I can pull this up real quick.
Otto is from Pest Control. He's the founder and CEO. They did licensed games for Duck Dynasty and Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Or Ottilie, sorry. And Waddle he was running sales and marketing for the Havoc game engine.
Yeah. So like, and they have a couple of other people on board too. That I don't have their names in front of me right now, but they come from this world.
Mm.
They have no direct relation to Telltale, obviously, but they come from this world, and they've basically laid out their plan of like trying to keep things slow to start off with, reacquire licenses that Telltale once had, and or a lot of the focus has been on um, producing like what games they will produce in a lot of ways, like getting back to what Telltale did right in terms of narrative games, but also updating the technology. They're finally talking about moving on to a different engine.
Thank
Thank
God.
God. So like there's some positives out of this. The major negative, like you said, Travis, is the fact that to start, they are bringing on some full-time staff, and they have reached out to, excuse me, excuse me there.
No
They
worries.
have reached out to multiple former Telltale employees for to join the team, um, and then also they've like they stated before, a lot of positions will be opening on a freelance basis to start off with at least. A lot of that is due to them trying to grow the company slowly, as not to bloat everything right off the top. So I understand that. It doesn't make the fact that you've basically resurrected this company, which is very ironic considering the franchise that Telltale is best known for.
True.
They reanimated it and put it back out there, just basically only talking about like, oh, it's great to have Telltale back, but like you don't necessarily know what you're going to get because a lot of the people that worked on those games and made those games what they are not going to be there. The
Mm-hmm.
majority of people that were laid off whenever Telltale went under have moved on to different companies, different positions. And yes, some of them are still out there in a position where they could accept work from this new version of Telltale. But a lot of the magic is not going to necessarily be there in the same way. So a lot of the people that are celebrating the return of Telltale, I think, are just excited to see the name back out there, or they're excited that they might finally get the Wolf Among Us 2,
Hmm.
in a lot of ways. But they're not like there's definitely some major operational stuff, and creative stuff that are at least in the beginning is going to be severely lacking for what I think you might expect from a Telltale company. I will commend them on this though. Audley was at Game Daily Connect USA earlier, I think today,
Mm.
and where he sat down for an interview with GameDaily.biz, and basically said like they are committed to a non-crutch culture. They are committed to making sure that any freelancer that works with them is paid for every hour that they contribute. So like they're saying all the right things in terms of workers' rights in a lot of ways. Now, of course, the major issue there is they're still talking about freelancers and not really providing the kind of stability that a lot of these people would like to have.
Mm.
Um, but there are some positives coming out.
Yeah, it feels to me like a company wearing the mask of Telltale Games, but also Telltale really need to change anyway, so in some ways it's almost a positive, but at the very least you can go back and buy Telltale's backlog again, and maybe something good will come out of it. Time will tell, but we're not going to see the same, quality of work we might have seen before. And yeah, maybe in some ways that would be good, since they were doing literally the same thing over and over, and that's why they crashed as a company to begin with. So maybe rebooting the company is good, but I just don't feel great about the prospect of buying a game from them, knowing that it's not the same people, it's not the company that started, etc., etc. But then again, like companies like Blizzard aren't the same company they were a few years ago either. So this
Yeah,
is
I mean
what happens.
a lot of this is just capitalizing on name value, a lot like THQ Nordic,
Mm-hmm.
other companies like that. So
One
I
of
don't
the
know.
things that has really stood out to me in this article, though, and I don't know if y'all caught it, is that one of the major financial backers, and I'm hoping I can pronounce the name right, is Tobias Sjogren,
Mm.
who was formerly of Starbreeze.
Yes, that was the what are the names? Yes, I did see that. I'm glad that you pointed that out because I couldn't find the names in front of me. Yeah, so I'm not sure what his position was at Starbreeze.
Mm. Not sure myself either.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up real quick. But I mean, considering a lot of the stuff that's been going on at Starbreeze in the past year or so, like,
Mm.
mm,
Yeah, it's always weird how a lot of these people that we mention sometimes in other stories seem to just kind of lump back into these weird little situations. I do also like the fact that while they're going to keep the concept of episodes, they're looking to pace it differently. Put out those episodes a little bit quicker, because I know with previous Telltale games, sitting there and waiting, when is part 3 gonna be out, was one of the biggest fucking buzzkills in the whole game, because by the time part 3 came out, sometimes I had forgotten major plot points from part 2.
Tobias at Starbreeze was a director sorry, he was on the board of directors for investor relations.
Thank you.
okay. Yeah, so just he's a business dude,
Mm-hmm.
doing business things.
All right. Before we move on to the next story, last week overall was fairly weird. If you follow games on Twitter, there were a lot of updates on various people's lives and drama. A lot of accusations that came out over the last week. Most of them have checked out so far and been fairly well founded. And there were literally so many of them, we can't really cover all of them within what is kind of a variety podcast show. But we do still want to talk about it. Basically, gaming is having sort of its Me Too moment where a lot of male developers, for a lot of very popular games as well, have come to be shown as gross, for lack of a better word on it. And the next story involves one of them with Alec Halaka of Night of the Woods.
Yeah. Real quick before we jump into this, I can give you the names of most of the ones that have been accused so far if you would like.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, of course, Alec Halalka, which we're about to talk about, associated with Night in the Woods, co-developer there. Also, Skyrim composer Jeremy Soule. Alexis Kennedy, who is a co-founder of Fail Better Games. Luke Shelton, Michael Antonov, Mark Ten Bosch, and Vlad Miku.
Yeah, and
It's a small collection of the names that have been accused of either sexual assault, emotional abuse, physical abuse, fun stuff. Really. Anyway.
Now, I've, as far as what I've been reading on it, I've been very interested in the way that a lot of journalists within the following the media have waited until they can do some investigation on their own, which I fucking love the fact that they are doing all of the due diligence before they put this out, because there are a lot of names, and the big ones have definitely a lot of backing, especially with Halaka. A lot of people came out stating very similar things after one of the favorite names in games controversy, Zoe Quinn, came out and basically on Twitter gave a very lengthy statement of abuse and assault that she had claimed. We do here at the show have to say it is claimed so far to have taken place, but they're really with the backing of multiple accounts that back Zoe Quinn. And honestly, I can't imagine why Zoe Quinn would even possibly want to get back into the limelight in this fucking way once she had finally disappeared from that shit. She's been able to be out there more on other things. It's a fairly fucking solid case against him, and the other co-creators on Night in the Woods, a pretty fucking fantastic game, have severed ties with Halaka as well. They've done things like postponing the release of Night in the Woods. They're canceling a current project, or at least reworking the current project. They're figuring that out as we speak. They've canceled a signing event for a port of the game that's coming out under publisher Finji. Finji has said they will take the time we need to process and create our next step as a team, as publishing partners, and as a family. Finji CEO Rebecca Saltzman has stated the allegation of abuse against Alec Halaka are something I take very seriously as a survivor of abuse. I offer my support to all who are able to speak out about their experiences. So those projects As far as the iOS port is likely still going on, but is likely to put a pause to this. So, you know, this is a huge hit, especially for a tiny development company. I feel nothing but sympathy for them. This whole situation is bullshit that they have to deal with this. There was no sign for them that they were working with an abuser until people started coming out about this, and this is why it's so fucking important that people come out, despite the fact that it is such a pain to go through, because basically you're not just reliving it again, but suffering the fury of the entire fucking internet. So there's the backstory and my own 2 cents. Brian and Lindsay, I imagine the two of you have a lot to say as well.
I, as much as I'm glad to see that there are people that are feeling strong enough to come out, the fact that this bullshit is still happening just, it hurts. It angers me. It it's just flat out depressing. Like, uh, women are people too. People are people. Treat them like people. Like, it's not that hard. And stuff like this just needs to stop happening across the board in the video game industry, outside of the video game industry. I'm sick and tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, I commend um, Scott Benson and
Bethany Hockenberry?
yeah, Bethany Hockenberry. Sorry, yeah, this is a tough one.
Mm.
I commend them both on one, believing um, the victims first and foremost, because that's really the first hurdle to conquer in a lot of these instances, because so much of the like conversation about these things has been posited as well. You know, we don't necessarily believe people whenever they make such allegations against other people. Um, Especially with something as sensitive as this. Like, there's no reason why Zoe Quinn would make these accusations unless they had some kind of merit. And considering how many people have responded to Scott Benson, saying that there was something going on with Halaka,
Mm.
like, it makes total sense why you would believe Zoe Quinn's account, and why they would cut ties with him almost immediately after this stuff came out. The same can be said for Fellbetter. Fellbetter, in that instance, Alexis Kennedy had already left the company, if I'm not mistaken, but they were very adamant about their stance against him after the accusations against him came out as well. Um, yeah, I mean, one of the main problems I have right now with how some of this argument is being framed is that a lot of video game journalism outlets are not necessarily positing this as the gaming Me Too movement, whereas a lot of more mainstream publications are.
Mm.
You know, I know I was looking through some stuff today, and like the BBC had their article out yesterday talking about gaming's Me Too movement after the dearth, or not the dearth, the deluge of allegations that came out in the past 72 hours, which after reading after reading Natalie's account of her experience with Jeremy Soule, that was just gut wrenching, heartbreaking, and also a lot of evidence to back up what she was saying.
Mm.
So, like, there's a reason why a lot of these people are coming out and saying what they're saying now. They are feeling empowered to do so. But back to my original point, this is not gaming's Me Too movement in the same instance as what we saw in cinema and we've seen in other fields of media in the past 2 years since the Weinstein case broke.
No, I can agree with
Um,
that.
this because the power structures are still there. A lot of these people still are able to exist and commit these sort of things. We've had people within not just the game development world or the game publishing world. There have been people within the games journalism world. I point to Nick Robinson. Whenever he was ousted from Polygon after accusations came out about him using his position there to basically um, solicit sex from female fans and stuff like that. Like this sort of thing, it permeates every inch of this industry, and this is just the beginning of what we're hopefully going to see um, happen in the coming months, years, of where some of this stuff is rooted out, and we're actually able to maybe get to a position where we can start making those systemic changes. But video games are still the Wild West in this sort of instance. They're still the place where a lot you don't know a lot of these people by name.
Mhm.
One, and you have such secrecy behind a lot of these companies as well, that a lot of the stuff is not going to be as public as as Harvey Weinstein was, or some of these other people were. Whenever we get to that point, slap me too on it. But we are not there yet, because these people are still suffering far too much for us to categorize this as a systemic revolution in this way. Like this is a good first step.
Mm.
I hope that a lot of people are feeling empowered by these statements to, not hold on to these sort of traumas going forward. But really, until we're able to be completely explicit with what goes on with these people, and these people are actually facing consequence for it, then that's where we'll be able to claim that some actual change is happening. That being said, I feel so hard for these people, and I wish there was more I could do for them.
What we had with cinema when Harvey Weinstein was outed, it was kind of the watershed moment, and a lot of these names, none of these names are remotely on that level of the people who have come out, despite the fact that so many allegations have come out. And that's the interesting part, is that it's so ingrained within the industry that you don't even have to be somebody of real power, apparently, in order to be manipulative. Just having your foot in the industry door and having some people out there knowing your name can be enough to move that balance of power around. So, despite everything that has come out so far, unless a lot more happens, and frankly, a lot of it's going to be very quietly, hardly known, because we don't know the names of most of the people who work on these. You know, with video games, you have 2 or 3 people maybe on a team whose name is known, but like, I'm excited for Death Stranding coming out soon. Do I know anybody who really worked on the game itself beyond Hideo Kojima? Not really. So, these people can continue to be fairly anonymous. And, this is one event, and I specifically wanted to talk on this one since this is a team that is taking it on the fucking chin. There was a lot they could have done to just continue with business as normal, but it's not what they chose to do, and that's fucking awesome. So, I give them a huge congratulations on being less shitty than the majority of the industry. It makes me proud to know that, we have people of, who are ethical and will work for the betterment of, the industry as a whole. out there working that are keeping an eye out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we can only hope that this just gets better. That people just stop being like Lynn said, like women are people too. Like this sort of thing should not be happening, obviously.
All right, let's all roll our shoulders, get out the bat here. Because, let's face it, that was a fucking heavy segment, and as you can see, going on the line, we've got more story for you today, and these are all better stories, thankfully. The rest of the show, to bring everyone back up who is probably very sad at this point, everything else is fine and happy bullshit, so welcome aboard to talking back about positive things in the industry, and a good start for that is the positive reviews. Oh my god, I did not expect Astral Chain to get as reviewed as positively as it has. It's the new Platinum Games Gabe, and from the reviews, from the accolades, this is Platinum Games at its best. When you buy into a Platinum game, you know basically what you're getting up to. These games are big. They have giant set pieces. And yeah, exactly, John Borg. It released very quietly, but fucking exploded in the review area as far as positivity from reviewers. Oh, this is a long fucking advertisement.
Hopefully it goes away pretty soon. Not like Astral Chain was one of the games I was more excited for coming out of Nintendo's presentation at E3. Like whenever Platinum actually puts the work in, they produce great stuff. And Astral Chain looks like one of the games that they have put a lot of work into. It's not just a licensed fighter like that Ninja Turtles thing they put out a few years ago. That was just a husk. This is like imaginative in the way that I expect Platinum to be, and I'm really curious now that I have a Switch. I'm really curious to give this game a shot.
Man, I want to, but there's so much else out there right now that it is so close to some other things that I've been looking forward to coming, and I wish this game had come out a month ago for me, because I was like, there's nothing. This is a great time to catch up on my back catalog, but it is just fucking pretty looking, and any reason to break out a Nintendo-backed Platinum game is always a good time. They do a lot of work to fund this sort of game with other games that are clearly going to make them money, right? The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game, the Transformers games. Not that they're bad games, but they don't tend to hit the mark that their new IPs tend to, or updates on new Bayonetta or whatever. But yeah,
No, Ninja Turtles was bad. We can label that one at least. Ninja Turtles was bad. That was a bad game. The Platinum Ninja Turtles game was bad.
I never actually played it or saw it played. Yeah, like John Borg said, I watched Hollis play the Transformers game, and it wasn't my cup of tea, but it looked pretty fun, and it hit all the notes that he had wanted to out of it. So, some of them are good, and some of them are maybe not that great. But there you go, Astral Chain, fairly positive review. Equally, Control, fairly positive reviews. Not as good, but, it is a supernatural horror game from Remedy Entertainment and 505. And maybe not one of the best games out there, but if you're looking for a game with some interesting flair as far as horror games, because we don't get a lot of really good existential horror games out there. from all the reviews I've seen, Control is fairly good.
From what I've heard, like this is like the closest you're gonna get to like a B game.
Exactly.
That you're gonna get on this generation of consoles. Like the game looks outstanding. It is weird as fuck. From what I've seen of gameplay footage. But weird in an interesting way, like a weird in a way that like I want to learn more about what exactly is going on in this building. I will say it probably gets a lot of the negative marks because it runs like trash on the PS4.
Yeah.
It runs like garbage on the PS4 proper. So because of that, I likely won't be playing it because they also announced that they don't plan any. They don't currently have any patches, graphical patches planned for the PS4 edition of the game. So I would say if you're gonna play this, have a nice beefy PC and buy it over there, or at least like have a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X if you're going to try and play this game on console. Because I really want to play it. Like this has been on my radar for over a year now, and you know Remedy is good for making something weird. I always go back to Alan Wake with them because Alan Wake was a weird game that I oddly enjoyed despite it be the brevity of the experience in it.
Yeah, all the reviews so far, from what I've read, have kind of given the gameplay a little bit lackluster, but you know, secure control, etc. It's weird and it's goofy, but it's also creepy in all the right ways. So you're playing this not for, you know, they hit atmosphere sometimes correctly, but don't expect the most polished game you will play this generation on the PlayStation 4 if you happen to buy it there.
Yeah.
We've also got some reveals that came out this week. We've got Yakuza 7 has been announced as a turn-based RPG, which is really fascinating. You know, the whole history of the game has been primarily beat 'em ups, and they're basically trying to make their own blend on Dragon Quest of all things. Meanwhile, everyone keeps saying, "Look at it, it's Persona 5." It's Dragon Quest. It's fucking Dragon Quest. They said it's Dragon Quest.
Yeah, no, like I'm excited to see this like shift in the combat system because like most people go to Yakuza for the like outlandishness of the story and some of the characters, and the beat 'em up aspect of the combat is okay, but it gets very bland as you play through a 40-hour experience like the Yakuza games are most of the time. So like I welcome a change. Like as soon as I saw that it was turn-based, I immediately was like, "Oh, I am totally there." I am very curious to see how they build out that system, considering that they've never done anything like that for a Yakuza game before.
Don't mind me. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this turns out. You know, this is going to do gangbusters in Japan. That much I can promise you. Japan loves the Yakuza series. This is an easy sell overseas. Whether or not it sells well in America, I don't even know if they frankly give a fuck.
I mean, they likely don't, but it's gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, that series has experienced a renaissance unlike anything I've seen in the past 2 years. Ever since Yakuza 0 launched, like Yakuza has been on the lips of every like influential figure in the industry. So.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that. No real dates set yet, but you know.
Well, it's coming out in Japan on January 21st, 2020.
Right.
Or January 16th, I apologize. January 16th, 2020. for PlayStation 4, and it's going to come to the West later that year. No release date for the West yet.
Yeah, it'll come here eventually, like a dragon. As well, on your new release schedule, Shovel Knight. Yacht Club had a little bit of a sort of similar to Nintendo Direct, and they are partnering with Nitram to make basically Steam World Dig, but Shovel Knight. It is a bizarre looking game. I love, of course, the aesthetic of it. Shovel Knight always. Yacht Club just knows how to create an interesting looking aesthetic. It's all procedurally generated maps, and it just looks good, and it's hard not to sell me on that since I love Shovel Knight. I love SteamWorld Dig. Those are both fucking fantastic games, and if they want to make a game like that and come together and build something that looks this fun, I'm on board. Give me. Go ahead.
I never got to play any of the Shovel Knight games, so this looks freaking adorable. I want it. I really want it.
There's just the one Shovel Knight game, but you can play it with like 5, I think, different characters now. They're all add-ons to the existing game, but hell yeah, play some Shovel Knight. If you love some side-scrolling action, especially the patch that gives you the Plague Master or whatever, that one was fun as fuck.
I think like the closest thing I've played to this has been like Spiral Knights, the old Sega game.
Mm.
And I really like that one. It's one that I don't play for a very long time in one stretch, but I will go back every now and again, quite often.
All right. Our second to last, our penultimate story of the night, and what most of the gamers on Twitter have been talking about, World of Warcraft has come back with Classic, and man, it has fucking killed it on Twitch, and people are trying real hard to play it, getting hours worth of queue times, and depending upon the race that you play, you may be waiting in line a really fucking long time to turn in your quest. So bad that people are literally standing in queue in order to turn in especially beginning starter level quests.
Yeah, as someone who never played WoW, I don't know how much of this I can speak to other than very orderly people.
Yes, for WoW players, fucking congratulations on getting WoW players to line up and be cordial and shit. Applause on that, at least.
See, I lost over a decade of my life, and I will say lost to this game. The only positive thing that probably came out of playing WoW was honestly meeting you, Trav. And I was really hyped for WoW Classic, and then I stopped playing WoW. And now I can't see myself paying $15 a month to go back to that time sink. And the fact that right now, I just checked on Twitch, WoW has currently over 285,000 viewers. I mean, that's more than what the servers can handle right now. So, and the fact that they've actually got people who are installing illicit software to keep their characters active so they don't have to deal with 4 and 6 hour plus queues to get back in if they AFK out.
Yeah, there's been a few streamers, even major ones, that got disconnected in the middle of play and just rage quitted over it. 16K, John Borg? Holy fucking shit. I'm the wrong person to ask because I always thought, the original World of Warcraft sucked ass. That game sucked ass until I would honestly say Wrath of the Lich King made it a literally playable video game to me. I have a lot of friends who are super into it right now and are very happy, and I'm very happy that they're happy, but I can't understand. The game was bad. I understand it hit a niche that a lot of people needed at the time and found the right flavor to really start selling MMOs on a larger scale than we had ever seen before. That much I get. You took a great title like Warcraft and you built an MMO out of it, and over the years you made it a playable game. Cool. Okay. Why do I want to go back 14 years worth of development and play it like this, though? I don't understand, and I wish I did.
I will admit, I never played Classic. Like, I never played Vanilla. I came in about a year before Wrath launched. And there's a lot of mechanics from even back in the BC days that I miss. I miss playing a Ret Pally and having to choose which judgment to use. I hated the fact that it became a just spam button win.
Mm.
You know, like I missed having skill. And Wrath was probably the first and last good expansion of that game. But I mean, I'd be curious to poke at it and see if I could still ret the way I learned to ret. But I'm not paying for it. I can't. I just no. No.
What I understood was some of the initial like love for the game was that everything wasn't so thoroughly fucking documented, so that if you had any issues, with the quest, you could instantly look it up, and getting something done was, yeah, like John Borg said, it was an accomplishment. It was a challenge to get things done. But now everything is so well documented for, all of the quests for World of Warcraft. And man, there are sites dedicated now just to how to do quest in classic World of Warcraft now. It's fascinating.
Like Wowhead. I know when I started a new character, I would level them and then level professions. And Wowhead was just completely indispensable because they had full level 0 to max in any profession guides, the fastest and cleanest and easiest ways to do it. So you could rack that entire profession skill in a couple of hours. But I mean, yeah, like I kind of miss having to figure shit out. I I'm tired of games that are gimmies.
I don't understand why anybody wants to suffer, though. Because, burning your way through mobs in old school World of Warcraft was fucking obnoxious. Having to burn your way to find the one specific mob that you needed, and boy, if you didn't have 40 friends to do certain parts of the game, you were never getting it done. Let's not even fucking talk about raiding back then. Holy shit.
I mean, the server that you and I played on, primarily Silverhand, I know was the first RP server back at launch. And I remember Silverhand was actually before the whole LFG, LFR. They had a community that was built outside of it called the Leftovers. And it was a raiding community where if you played on Silverhand, you could sign up for raids. If you had a good enough ranking, you'd get slotted. And that was so cool. Like, that was my first World of Warcraft was my first experience with like MMOs. And to see something like that, like a community like that, outside of the devs just blew me away. And so like seeing a possible return to that is really attractive, but at the same time, I I still can't do it.
Oh, but also speaking of Blizzard, this one just was fascinating to me and kind of hilarious. Blizzard is suing a Chinese ripoff game. There are no lack of these. The company Sina Games tends to make a lot of these, but they're trying to make an example out of Glorious Saga. And just look at the icon. uh,
Jesus.
Yeah, if this right here, I know exactly who these two characters are, and boy, they have a lot of characters that look exactly like I've seen video now of Jaina Proudmoore, Gul'dan, Malfurion, all of these classic characters from World of Warcraft as well. From what Blizzard has said, every monster, according to them, every monster, creature, animal, and vehicle in the infringing game was copied from the World of Warcraft games. Weapons, amulets, and other objects were taken straight from the Warcraft games without pretense. Audio cues and sound effects from the Warcraft games were reproduced for the infringing game. It is that bad. So there you go. I am normally not on Blizzard's side a whole lot often lately, but I don't mind if they sue Sina Games into the fucking ground and back, frankly. Because I get tired of looking at the App Store and seeing these games that are so clearly trying to be a different game. So, hell yeah, sue the shit out of them.
Yep. That's the extent of my addition.
I still think it's funny that they're asking for like what was it, 150,000 per instance.
I don't know if they'll get that, but kill it. And our last real story of the day, coming from Outsports.com. Which, why are you not loading? You were loaded previously.
Leave it to the one self-serving thing.
Literally.
The one that fails. Anyway, while we wait for that to come up, let's talk about Sonic Fox.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm going to say right here, this is a self-serving thing. Outsports.com, written article by Brian Bell himself.
Hey, that's me. I did it.
Yeah.
No, so Sonic Fox had a charity stream over the weekend. We talked about it last week, I think, where he announced it, where he played NetherRealm Studios fighting games for about 72 hours. Like there were periods there where he like slept and rested, which thankfully he did because he needed to rest during that whole period. But 72 hours of playing video games, that basically amounted to over $22,000 in donations to the Trevor Project, which exceeded his goal. He wanted to raise 20,000, and they exceeded that on Sunday night. And the stream itself was just a super fun celebratory experience. I was in there for most of the time while I was awake, whether passively or actively contributing in there, and it was just fun all around. Like he had a multitude of different guests, both surprise and planned, come in, including some highly touted people. I know he had the composers from Steven Universe in there at one point. Jim Sterling joined him for a little while. Casey Explosion. Her name escapes me, but a NetherRealm employee who recently came out as trans was in there too. And that was a really fun experience. Just because it's just a bunch of people, a bunch of queer people sharing their experiences about growing up queer and living queer openly and this sort of thing. It was just really heartfelt. The chat was active, like just yelling out like trans rights the entire time. It was just a really fun experience. I mean, you had Sonic Fox like Naruto running at points during the thing for specific donation goals. He played piano in full fursuit. He sang a duet with Left at London on there, and he even participated in Philosophy Tube's charity stream that was going on at the same time, where he was reading Shakespeare to raise money for Samaritans, a mental health charity. And Sonic Fox joined him to read the part of Hector in the play Troilus and Cressida, and he did that while playing Mortal Kombat on his own stream. So like it was just a fun all around, and like the major highlight though was whenever he reached $20,000, and his stated goal for that was if he reached $20,000 he would shave his mustache, which he has never shaved his mustache ever in his life. And so he did it, and I would say
he looks
dude's
good.
Rocking it. Dude's rocking it. It looks good. That, and then he also ended up writing trans rights in marker on his chest, and it basically stayed there the entire weekend. And he just kept like raising up his shirt and just yelling trans rights, and it was just a really fun, like celebratory experience all around. He even had Ed Boon pop in for a little while on the stream, and what they discussed whether or not they would add a Sonic Fox skin into the game, because that's something that Sonic Fox has been talking about. He's been adamant that he wants his fursuit head on Aaron Black as an alternate skin in Mortal Kombat 11. And they actually they were going back and forth, and like they were like sort of entertaining the idea. So like who knows, it might happen. If not, regardless, it was a fun, positive experience all around. $22,000 plus going to the Trevor Project, supporting LGBTQ youth. Just awesome. And like he's saying that he hopes that he can hold more events like this very soon. So we'll see what happens. But like at the end of the day, like it was a really fun experience over the weekend.
Yeah, his crossover with Ollie stream Philosophy Tube was hilarious. And good job on reading that while playing Mortal Kombat at the same time. John Borg, I can tell you before, I've shaved my beard off at a time, and it was the worst mistake of my life. The top head, the dome piece, way better. If you're going to shave something off, I recommend this boy up here. Because otherwise, I don't know about you, I look like a tiny baby. And also, I can say the same thing for Sonic Fox. He looks like a tiny, tiny baby with the mustache gone. But it works well for him, so that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say he looks like he de-aged by like a decade just by losing the mustache. It's kind of adorable.
Yeah. Especially considering that he's like only like 20, the early 20s. Like I want to say like maybe 21, 22.
He legit, without the mustache, legit looks like a kid on their first day of high school.
Mm. Meanwhile, with the mustache, he honestly, the first time I saw him, was like, that's a 30-year-old man. No. He will look 30 for the next 30 years. That much I can promise you, especially as long as he keeps that mustache.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I met a guy at work who I'm like, yeah, so you're like, what, mid-20s? Because he was a new hire, and he goes, yeah, no, I was born in like 1972.
Good on him.
And I'm like, dude, you've got 12 years on me? Holy hell. What is your secret?
Either way, that is the Mr. Video Game Super Show for August the 29th, 2019. However, as always, at the end of the Mr. Video Game Super Show, we label a Mr. Video Game something that has done somebody or something that's done something so great, so stupid, so wonderful, so whatever the hell that we look at it and go, yeah, that's Mr. Video Games, all right. And this week's winner, the developers behind Cuphead. The team has released arrangements for all of their music that they had for the original Cuphead. As well, they've bundled the scores into levels ranging from high school to professional, and are doing, in some cases, discounts so that high schools may be able to do marching band renditions of several of the songs from the Cuphead games. So they've prepared packages for high school, professional, and barbershop quartet, charts of Cuphead most iconic tunes for jazz lovers of all age and skill levels. And it's just adorable. It is the cutest thing. Look at this marching boy Cuphead that they put out for it. It's cute. It's adorable. We needed something funny this week to be Mr. Video Games, and this fills everything.
I mean, honestly, it's been a really long time since we've had something that's heartwarming and not cringy as our Mr. Video Games. This is just like super awesome. And yeah, John Borg, I know, but the fact that somebody decided to hand draw a video game and make it this deliciously nostalgic and still keep it clean was it's awesome. It really is.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's adorable, and I'm excited to hear a high school marching band playing some Cuphead themes. Those were some great boys. And I am sure as well as everyone else, is looking forward to Cuphead Part 2.
If I don't go to a high school football game and hear a marching band close out with "I'm Mr. King Dice," then I am going to fucking riot, because this is rad, honestly. As like, I wasn't a band kid when I was in high school. I was a choir kid for a little while, but still, like, I have a very deep appreciation for anyone who's able to kind of cultivate the arts in the public school system, and like this sort of thing goes a long way to that. Also, it keeps people from doing the same marching band stuff like over and over again. Like, it was cool the first time I heard the marching band play Outcast. The 50th time, so like, I'm cool. It's very awesome, and I hope that this opens up more composers and more within the video game industry to like let their stuff be out there and exist for arrangements for other people to perform with. We can't all be video games live.
Well,
but we can try.
Oh, we can, definitely.
This has been your Mr. Video Game Live Super Show. Brian, do you have any final words for our audience this week?
Honestly, be better. Put what you want in the world out into the world. Generic, feel-good stuff. Because this week has been devastating in a lot of ways with the news cycle in the industry. So hopefully things get better. Hopefully the people that need to be spoken to in terms of power are spoken to. That Dave Chappelle special is really bad.
Oh, I've heard all the things about it, but the man's gonna make fucking bank off of it because he's Dave Chappelle.
Oh, I know, and that's the sad part. Outside of that, though, you can find this is the part where I promote myself, and I'm terrible at it. You can find my writing at outsports.com, superherohype.com, pastemagazine.com. Follow me on Twitter at WonderboyOTM. and you'll see a lot of the stuff I've been working on, and it's been really fun. Also, on a positive note, All Elite Wrestling's All Out is this weekend, and I am super stoked for that event. I'm bummed that I could not go to that, nor could I go to PAX West, which is happening in Seattle this weekend as well. So people that I know that are at PAX, y'all have fun. People that I know that are all at All Out, y'all have fun. I'll be watching both from the comfort of my desky, and hopefully all positive experience coming out of that.
Lindsay, any final words today?
I'm gonna echo Brian in that, you gotta be the change you want to see in the world. Um, if you put good out there, good's gonna come back, and you never know whose day you're gonna positively influence. Um, I can usually be found behind my desk. So, uh, Sundays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. at Lady Merowin, and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Although this Sunday there will be no stream because I am going to be graced by the presence of the wonderful Travis. So, oh dear God, him, me, and Playwatch all in the same house at the same time. Be afraid much nerding will be had. uh, um, Also can be found on Twitter at lmerowin. I think all of our linkies are down below. But yeah, you know what? Love each other. Be good to each other. And just try to make the world a bit of a better place, okay?
All right, a quick little bit of announcement. Next week, we will be continuing to do our show on Thursday, but that will be the last Thursday. We're going to return back to our original Monday night schedule, primarily to be real with you, because by Thursday night comes around, I am so brain dead, I don't want to do the thinky talk anymore. So... we will be returning to Monday nights for the Mr. Video Game Super Show, but join us, of course, next week on Thursday. And as always, we are posting all of our videos on youtube.com/CBGP Games. We are twitch.tv/Dead Sun Entertainment. Soon, sometime, we'll have our stuff on podcast services around the globe, but not now. We are still working on finding people to do art and stuff for us, so that'll come eventually. Anyway, we are Mr. Video Games. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and bless your soul, bless your heart.